able to see the screen okay? Now? You're able to see
Yes.
it? Okay.
Yes.
All right then.
We had
We can
text
see it.
30.
Text 30.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yesterday, Shilpa, the text was bigger. It was really nice.
Oh, yesterday was really nice, huh? Now
Nice,
it's
yeah.
smaller.
It's a bit smaller. Of course, I mean, we can expand it, I mean, a bit on our own, but I just wanted to let you know.
Oh, thank you. So you know
Yeah.
what? Let me see what
If
I
it's
can
not,
do.
then we can do it. Otherwise, now we just use our two fingers and
Okay, 1 minute. Let me see what to do. One moment. Screen. Now you're still able to see the screen, right? Oh no. And now
oh,
what are you able to see?
now we can't see anything. It's
Now you can't see anything. Okay.
black.
Okay. And then now you're able to see it?
No. Oh, yeah. Now we can see
Yeah,
it's clear.
now we can.
It's
Yeah,
big?
yeah,
It's
now
bigger.
it's clear.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Okay. So because I was always using an external monitor. Yesterday I was in Hitesh's house, so I was with my laptop only. I didn't bring the external.
Oh,
So, okay, so now I'm just with the laptop. No extra monitor
yeah.
for me. Okay, and you're saying text 30, right?
Yes.
So we are going to, and then does this get better like this? Or no, no, wait.
Oh, now it's again black. Yeah.
Black.
Blank. Yeah, it's a blank screen.
Okay, yeah, now, okay, let's just keep it at this then. Let's just keep it for now.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, this is good.
Yeah, this
Okay,
is
good.
perfect.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So we are hearing now from this Avadut, this Brahman that is lying like a python, and he's giving us knowledge. He's saying because of our material desires, and then we act on those desires, then we get reactions. So we are going to different destinations in the universe, sometimes as lower forms of life, sometimes as demigods, higher forms of life, sometimes as human being. And then in all this, we start thinking ourselves that we are the body, we are the body. We completely forget that we are actually the spirit soul. We get this attraction to enjoy this material world. And because of that, we are not able to understand we are the soul, that we are actually Satchidananda. We are looking for enjoyment outside. But the real way we can actually be happy is if we can understand who we truly are, that we are spirit soul, part and parcel of Krishna, servant of Krishna. If we can understand this, then we will be happy. So then we are going to go to text 30. Dehadibhir deva tantrer
Dehadibhidevatantre
atmana sukham ihata
Atmana sukham
Sukham
ihatah
dukhatyayam chanishasya
Dukhatyayam chanisyasya
kriya mogha krita krita.
Kriyamoga krita krita.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The living entity tries to achieve happiness and rid himself of the causes of distress. But because the various bodies of the living entities are under the full control of material nature, all his plans in different bodies, one after another, are ultimately baffled. Because the materialist is in gross ignorance of how the laws of material nature act upon him. As a result of his fruitive activity, he mistakenly plans to enjoy bodily comfort in the human form of life through so-called economic development, through pious activities for elevation to the higher planetary systems, and in many other ways. But factually, he becomes a victim of the reactions of his fruitive activities. So, what happens? We are conditioned. We get bound by the laws of nature, and we don't understand that the laws of nature are there for us. That any activity we do, we are going to get a reaction for it. And we are thinking we are the body, we are trying to enjoy the body, but we keep getting reactions, keep getting reactions. And to be able to suffer or enjoy these reactions, we have to take on more and more material bodies. And in this way, we just continue to remain in this cycle of birth and death. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is situated as the Supersoul within the cores of the hearts of all entities, of all living entities. As the Lord says in Bhagavad Gita 15:15, Sarvasya chaham hridi sanivishto matasmritir jnanam apohanam cha. I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. The desires and activities of the living being are observed by the Supersoul, who is the Upadrashta, the overseer, and who orders material nature to fulfill the various desires of the living being. So, Paramatma is there in our heart. So then Paramatma, he understands what is our desire. And what is our desire? Then he makes the arrangement through the agency of this material world to fulfill our desire. So we think actually that our desires are being fulfilled because I am working so hard. But in actuality, it is being arranged by the Supreme Lord to fulfill our desire. So, as clearly stated in Bhagavad Gita 1861, Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam Hriddesha Arjuna Tishtate Brahmayan Sarva Bhutani Yantra Rudhani Mayaya. The Lord is situated in everyone's heart, and as one desires, the Lord gives one various types of bodies, which are like machines. Riding on such a machine, the living entity wanders throughout the universe under the control of material nature and its modes. Thus, the living being is not at all free to act, but is fully under the control of material nature, which is fully under the control of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, you know what? The choice is ours. We want to surrender to God directly. And if we don't surrender to God directly, then we have to surrender to Him indirectly. Because if we surrender to God directly, then we are under the shelter of the spiritual energy. But one may say, okay, I don't want to surrender to God. Then we are under the control of the material energy. And the material energy is completely under the control of Krishna. So both the ways we are under control of Krishna. Our choice is whether we want to be controlled directly by Krishna or we want to be controlled by Krishna through the agency of Maya. So what is happening? We are choosing Maya, material nature. She's giving us different bodies, and we are wandering around the universe in one body, in different body, depending on how we are desiring. And this body is called like a machine, like how we sit inside a car and drive the car. So we can go sometimes to Taichung, sometimes Keelung, like that. So, or you sit in an aeroplane, for example, and go sometimes America, sometimes Australia. So like this body is a machine. We are sitting inside this body. Sometimes this body is taking us one planet, sometimes another planet, sometimes we are in animal body, sometimes we are in human body, sometimes demigod body. But everything is happening under control of Krishna. As soon as living entity is victimized by material desires to lord it over material nature, he is subjected to the control of material nature, which is supervised by the Supreme Soul. So, as soon as we get the desire to enjoy this material nature independently, We get the desire to enjoy independent of Krishna, or we get a desire to control the material nature. So we get a desire to control material nature, but what happens actually? We get controlled by material nature. Although we are spiritual, we still get controlled by material nature. It happens because our size is very tiny, 1/10,000 the tip of a hair. Krishna never comes under control of material nature. Material nature is under control of Krishna. So the result is that one again and again makes plans and is baffled. But as foolish as he is, he cannot see the cause of his bafflement. This cause is distinctly stated in Bhagavad Gita. Because one has not surrendered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he must work under the control of material nature and its stringent laws. Devi Hiesha Gunamai Mama Maya Duratyaya. The only means of becoming free from this entanglement is to surrender to the Supreme Lord. So we can see, we have been reading about surrender now since the past few days in Bhagavad Gita. How they complement each other, Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. It was this theme that, that we need to surrender to Krishna. Till the time we don't surrender, we continue to remain under the modes of nature. We are under the control of the modes of nature. And here we are hearing the same thing. So in the human form of life, the living entity must accept this instruction from the Supreme Person, Krishna. Sarva dharman parityagya mam ekam sharanam vraja. Do not plan to achieve happiness and drive away distress. You will never be successful. Simply surrender to me. Unfortunately, however, the living entity does not accept the Supreme Lord's clearly stated instructions from Bhagavad Gita, and thus he becomes a perpetual captive of the laws of material nature. Because we say, oh, I have a free will, so one may say, well, I don't want to surrender. Then that's how we are caught up in the cycle of birth and death. Surrender to Krishna. Surrender to Krishna begins by chanting Hare Krishna, by following the instructions of Bhagavad Gita as Krishna is telling us, by hearing about Krishna from Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, hearing from the pure devotees. Okay. Yagyarthat karmano nyatra lokoyam karma bandhana. If one does not act for the satisfaction of Krishna, who is known as Vishnu or Yagya, he must be entangled in the reactions of fruitive activities. So what is sacrifice?
The sacrifice done for the pleasure of Krishna.
Yeah, any activity which is done for pleasure of Krishna becomes sacrifice. Krishna is saying in Bhagavad Gita, whatever you do for me. So then that becomes sacrifice. Satisfaction of Krishna, doing something to please Krishna. So what happens if one does activity to please himself but not to please Krishna?
He gets entangled in the material world.
Yeah, because then we get the karma. We do something for our own sense enjoyment, then we get karma. So then the karma could be pious or it could be impious. The reaction could be, as it said, pap and punya, sinful and pious. By pious activities, one is elevated to higher planetary systems. And by impious activities, one is degraded to lower species of life, in which is punished by the laws of nature. In the lower species of life, there is an evolutionary process. And when the term of the living entity's imprisonment or punishment in the lower species is finished, he is again offered a human form and given a chance to decide for himself which way he should plan. If he again misses the opportunity, he is again put into the cycle of birth and death, going sometimes higher and sometimes lower, turning on the samsara chakra, the wheel of material existence. So this this choice, this free will, is in this human form of life that we have. Because when we are in the animal life, then by the nature's laws, we will just evolve, from one body to another. Animals don't get any karma. Whatever body we get as an animal, then through the evolutionary process, one will go higher and higher and higher, then again come to human being. Again, in human being, we have a choice. We can choose how we want to act. And based on our activity, then again our next life can be animal life or can be demigod life, or we can get liberation, proceed to the spiritual world. As a wheel sometimes goes up and sometimes come down, the stringent laws of material nature make the living entity in material existence sometimes happy and sometimes distressed. How he suffers in the cycle of happiness and distress is described in the next verse. Any questions or comments?
Yes, this is describing us. This is
Yeah,
a true description of us as an individual, what we are doing. We
yeah,
are all looking for happiness, but the true happiness is under the lotus feet of Krishna, remembering Krishna, hearing about him. And knowing this, sometimes we still get involved. So this is for our benefit, because this is being repeated again and again and again, so that no matter if it didn't click us then, it might click us now. And we might know that how important it is and how fortunate we are that we've got the human life.
yeah,
And we have the free will.
yeah,
If we want, we can surrender to Krishna and make that betterment for ourselves. And if we want, we can keep on doing what we were doing in our old ways.
yeah. Does Krishna interfere in what we choose?
No,
Yeah, that's right. He doesn't interfere.
he does not interfere.
Yeah, it's our choice. And then
Yeah.
Prabhupada, I was just hearing his talk. When we choose to act as Krishna is instructed in Bhagavad Gita, then we become a Brahmana. And if we choose to disregard Krishna's instructions, then we become a Kripana, miser. What's the meaning of a Kripana in this case? Why is
The
being
one
called
who,
Kripana?
so in this case, it means that though he's got the human life, but he's not making the proper use of that human life.
That's right.
And he's involving in fruitive activities and karma kandi and everything. He's not surrendering to Krishna.
Yeah.
So he's wasting his human life. So he's a kripana, he's a miser. He's not making the proper use of the
Yes.
human life he has.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay. Adhyatmikadibir dukher
आध्यात्मिकाधिभिः दुःखे
avimuktasya karhichet
विमुक्तस्य
अभिमुक्तस्य
कर्हिचे
कर्हिचेत्
martyasya krichro panater
मर्दस्य
यस्य
च
कृच्छ्रोपनते
उपपते
arthe kame kriyeta kim.
अर्थे
ते
कामे
कामे
क्रियेत
क्रियते
किम्.
Materialistic activities are always mixed with three kinds of miserable conditions: adhyatmika, adhidaivika, and adhibhautika. Therefore, even if one achieves some success by performing such activities, what is the benefit of this success? One is still subjected to birth, death, old age, disease, and the reactions of his fruitive activities. According to the materialistic way of life, if a poor man, after laboring very, very hard, gets some material profit at the end of his life, he is considered a success, even though he again dies while suffering the threefold miseries Adhyatmika, Adidevika, and Adibhautika. So the Brahman is saying that, we may achieve some success in material life, but we are still going to die. And during the life, we still have to go through these miseries. Nobody can escape these miseries of Adhyatmik, Adidevik, and Adibhautik. What are they? Adhyatmik, Adidevik, Adibhautika, what are they?
Adhyatmika is the pain you get from your body, like diseases, mental stress. And then Adibhautik is when someone gives you pain, like how a snake bites you or insect or anything. And Adidevik is a natural calamity
Yeah,
of the nature. Right?
yeah. So no one can escape the threefold miseries of materialistic life, namely miseries pertaining to the body and mind, miseries pertaining to the difficulties imposed by society, community, nation, and other living entities, and miseries inflicted upon us by natural disturbances from earthquakes, famines, droughts, floods, epidemics, and so on. If one works very hard, suffering the threefold miseries, and then is successful in getting some small benefit, what is the value of this benefit? We are not able to understand. We still term success means if I'm materially successful, then that is my success. But we don't realize, but we are suffering at every moment with either of these three miseries. Just like the camel keeps on eating the thorns and mixed with his own blood, and he's thinking, oh, it's so nice, it's so tasty, not understanding it's my own blood. I'm harming myself. So besides that, even if a karmi is successful in accumulating some material wealth, he still cannot enjoy it, or he must die in bereavement. I have even seen a dying man begging a medical attendant to increase his life by 4 years so that he could complete his material plans. Of course, the medical man was unsuccessful in expanding the life of the man, who therefore died in great bereavement. Everyone must die in this way. And after one's mental condition is taken into account by the laws of material nature, he's given another chance to fulfill his desires in a different body. So, by our desires, we are creating our own body, our future body, our mental condition. Prabhupada is saying here that material nature is going to take into account our mental condition. So, what are our desires? And based on that, we will get another chance, another body. Material plans for material happiness have no value, but under the spell of the illusory energy, we consider them extremely valuable because we are the spirit soul. We actually have nothing to do here in the material world, but we are so captivated by this illusion that we are thinking we are the body, we are thinking we are part of this material world, and that everything matters to us. Actually, there is no relationship of the soul with the material world. We shouldn't be here in the first place. No, we should be in the spiritual world, in our own spiritual body. There were many politicians, social reformers, and philosophers who died very miserably without deriving any practical value from their material plans. Therefore, a sane and sensible man never desires to work hard under the conditions of threefold miseries, only to die in disappointment. Any comments? Okay, so let's go on then. Pashyami dhaninam klesham,
Pashyami
Yami
dhaninam klesham
dhaninam
Pashyam
klesham
Tvesham
lubdhanam ajitatmanam,
Lubdhanam
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 ajitatmanam
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 bhayad alabdha nidranam.
Vayat
Vayad
alipta
alapta
nadranam
nidranam
Sarvato Bhivishankinam.
sarvato
sarvato
abhivichankinam.
abhivishankinam.
The Brahman continued, I'm actually seeing how a rich man who is a victim of his senses is very greedy to accumulate wealth and therefore suffers from insomnia due to fear from all sides despite his wealth and opulence. Greedy capitalists accumulate wealth under so many miserable conditions. The result being that because they collect money by questionable means, their minds are always agitated. Thus, they are unable to sleep at night and have to take pills for mental tranquility to invite sleep. And sometimes, even the pills are a failure. Consequently, the result of having accumulated money by so much labor is certainly not happiness, but only distress. What is the value of acquiring a comfortable position if one's mind is always disturbed? So, what the Brahman is saying that, a man may get very rich, but we may think, oh, this person is so rich, so he must be so happy because he's so comfortable. But actually, what's the mental condition of that person? He may be in deep anxiety, he may be in deep fear. He may not be able to sleep because either because he may be wondering how to take care of the wealth or how to maintain the wealth. Okay. So Narottam Das Thakur has therefore sung Samsara Bishanale Dibanishi hi ajwale Juraite Nakainu Upai. I'm suffering from the poisonous effect of material enjoyment. Thus my heart is always burning and is almost on the verge of failure. So we are thinking that we are enjoying by engaging more and more material sense enjoyment. We are thinking we are going to be happy. But actually, our heart still remains restless. Our heart still suffers. What is the condition of our heart and mind? We don't find peace there. There's disturbance because it may, our sensual enjoyment, we may, uh, we indulge in sensual enjoyment, but the heart doesn't get that bliss, the happiness. The result of the greedy capitalist's unnecessary accumulation of wealth is that he may suffer from a blazing fire of anxiety and always be concerned with how to save his money and invest it properly to get more and more. Such a life is certainly not very happy. But because of the spell of the illusory energy, materialistic persons engage in such activities. So the illusion is so strong that drives us to act in such a way. Without understanding, we are creating our own misery because of our unnecessary material attachments. Too many material attachments. As far as our Krishna consciousness movement is concerned, we are getting money naturally by the grace of God by selling our literature. This literature is not sold for our sense gratification. To spread the Krishna consciousness movement, we need so many things. And Krishna is therefore supplying us the requisite money to advance this mission. So Prabhupada is saying, how is the Krishna consciousness movement being supporting itself? By selling books. By selling books, Krishna is arranging. The Krishna consciousness movement is getting the money because money is, of course, needed to spread the movement, to do more preaching. Temples are being opened to do more preaching, deity worship going on, to attract more people to engage in deity worship. The mission of Krishna is to spread Krishna consciousness all over the world. And for this purpose, we naturally must have sufficient money. Therefore, according to the advice of Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada, we should not give up attachment to money that can spread the Krishna consciousness movement. So Prabhupada would say that, if somebody gives him money, he's not going to refuse it. He's going to use it to spread Krishna consciousness further. And this is the advice of Srila Rupa Goswami. That is real renunciation, understanding that money also belongs to Krishna. So should be engaged in the service of Krishna. And that is real renunciation. Srila Rupa Goswami says in his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1-256, Prapanchikataya buddhya hari sambandhi vastuna mumukshubhi parityago vairagyam falgo kathyate. When persons eager to achieve liberation renounce things which are related to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, though they are material, this is called incomplete renunciation. Money that can help in spreading the Krishna consciousness movement is not a part of the material world, and we should not give it up thinking that it is material. So Rupa Goswami is saying, because everything belongs to Krishna. For a pure devotee, actually, there is no material world, because he sees the material world also a part of Krishna, no? As Krishna's energy belongs to Krishna. So for him, there's no difference between material world and spiritual world. For him, everything is spiritual. That's the vision of the pure devotee. So Srila Rupa Goswami advises anasaktasya vishaya yatharham upayunjataha nirbandha Krishna sambandhe yuktam vairagyam uchyate. When one is not attached to anything, but at the same time accepts everything in relation to Krishna, one is rightly situated above possessiveness. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1-255. So Srila Rupa Goswami is explaining what is a real detachment, what is real renunciation. Seeing that everything belongs to Krishna, using everything in service of Krishna. Not being attached to anything for personal sense gratification, but rather being attached to Krishna and engaging everything in Krishna's service. So money is undoubtedly coming in great quantities, but we should not be attached to this money for sense gratification. Every cent should be spent for spreading the Krishna consciousness movement, not for sense gratification. There is danger for a preacher when he receives great quantities of money, for as soon as he spends even a single cent of the collection for his personal sense gratification, he becomes a fallen victim. The preachers of the Krishna consciousness movement should be extremely careful not to misuse the immense quantities of money needed to spread this movement. Let us not make this money the cause of our distress. It should be used for Krishna, and that will cause our eternal happiness. Money is Lakshmi, or the goddess of fortune, the companion of Narayan. Lakshmi ji must always remain with Narayan, and then there need be no fear of degradation. So Srila Prabhupada is saying that, there are so many preachers in the Krishna consciousness movement, and preachers need to be careful because they're receiving a lot of money, and all the money should be used properly to spread the Krishna consciousness movement. Money is Lakshmi Devi. Lakshmi Devi is always worshipped with Lord Narayan. Now Diwali is coming up. So the way to worship Lakshmi Devi is to worship her together with Narayan. Lakshmi Devi is very chaste and she likes to be worshipped with Narayan. Wherever there is Narayan, Lakshmi ji will always be there. Any comments, questions?
Hare Krishna Shilpaji. So this Avadut also seems very, very knowledgeable and in parampara, because what he is saying is what we have been hearing from all the Mahajans and everybody.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, it's true. It's very knowledgeable.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yesterday, we heard about the Pavarga, right? The 5 material uh, suffering, right? The thing struggle
Yeah.
to be real, right? So it's to do with this also, right? The pa, pa, ba, ba, and ma.
Yeah, that's right. Till the time we are here in the material world, the struggle,
Struggle will be there.
they will be there. Yeah.
Actually, pa, pha, ba, ba, ma is the Hindi
Hindi constant,
swar that
yes.
come in the same line. The 5 are in
Yeah,
the same line. They are
yeah,
not
the
from
5,
anywhere
yeah.
else. They are in the same line. And then we say that we have to use um,
Consonant.
the lips. We close them. So that is creating. So it was mentioned by one of the Prabhujis that when you are using to take out that sound, you are closing pa, pa, ba, bha, ma. So that means that it is there and you have to get rid of it.
So
The
we get
bhai,
rid of it is that upper varga, no?
no, I know that,
Material.
but what he
Mm.
meant was that because we are closing, right? So then we are opening it, right? When you pronounce pa, pa, ba, ba, ma, then you are closing your mouth and then pushing out the air, right? So he just connected in a way to make us remember that they are in the line and then they are all there inside. So we have to get free of it. We have to get free of the upper vargas, these all. They are there
You mean
in
the free
us.
of the pavarga. Apavarga is
Yeah,
liberation. And
Yeah.
pavarga is material life. These are
yeah. So
these
we have to
five.
get free of these per varga, like the material, these per bama,
Mm. Yeah. You have to get rid
because
of.
it is there. So like that's why how he said that you can remember it in this way. That they're in the same line and they are pronounced in the same way, so they are there. When the mouth closes, that means they are there. So free of it.
Mm. Yeah.
So the per was that overworking, huh? Hard.
Yeah, parishram. Yeah, pa is parishram. So like I remember the Hindi words because it's easy to remember pa, pa, ba, ba, ma, something starting with them.
Yeah. Yeah. So we are thinking that there will be happiness. There will be happiness in the material world, not today, but tomorrow, not tomorrow, but day after. But actually, the happiness will be more like a sense enjoyment, or even if happiness comes, it's very temporary. And what we need to focus on that real happiness, we can experience the real happiness when we engage in devotional service, when we are hearing about Krishna, chanting Krishna's name, worshipping Krishna, remembering Krishna. That is how we can truly be happy. Okay. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai.